Hello there, everyone. I've got a Christmassy review for you today, and since it's a Christmas carol, I don't have my tree up yet, so I can't go over and sit in front of the tree, but there is one other thing that I usually do when I review a Christmas carol, so here we go. We're gonna do this. Ah, it clashes so wonderfully with my shirt. I've had this one waiting in my queue for well over a year now, so it's about time I got around to it. It's a 1941 audio recording of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, starring Ronald Colman as Ebenezer Scrooge. Now, I'm a fan of A Christmas Carol, I think a lot of you know that. There are two different versions that I consider among my favorite Christmas movies. I've reviewed 14, I think, different adaptations of it, though none of them are audio only like this is. And I'm a fan of Ronald Colman. He's one of my favorite old movie actors, so obviously this is pretty exciting. This program was released in November of 1941, just before the attack on Pearl Harbor by Decca Records, and later doubled up with a similarly Dickens-inspired recording of Mr. Pickwick's Christmas, starring Charles Laughton. Now, ordinarily, Ronald Colman, much as I love him, is not someone I would pick as a likely candidate to play Scrooge. The gentleman of the cinema just doesn't fit the image of the old miser. There being no visual component to this, though, I think worked in his favor. Using nothing but his voice, he does a fairly good job as Scrooge. He doesn't sound old enough, and he doesn't sound mean enough. I don't think that Colman had it in him to be truly nasty, but he is cranky and miserable. One major difference of this adaptation is that it has Scrooge telling his own story in retrospect. He's narrating events from the perspective of one looking back with shame at his old ways. It's kind of unusual, but I guess when you have someone with a distinctive, delicious voice like Colman had, you want to make the most of it. And I'm certainly not complaining. Because it's only half an hour long, it moves very quickly, and there are quite a few abbreviations of the original story. For example, the ghost of Jacob Marley appears almost immediately after Scrooge arrives home. And the section with the Ghost of Christmas Past is greatly truncated, making a big leap from Scrooge as a lonely young boy at school to him as a young man being released from his engagement by a here unnamed young woman. And there's no Fezziwig. And this isn't like a major thing, but I did kind of miss the old woman in the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come section who says, "It's his bed curtains!" Speaking of the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come, here's a weird thing. He talks! I can understand why they had to do this. We can't see the spirit, so the section would have been awkward and possibly confusing if there was just silence and ominous music. But it is kind of disappointing. The section is just not as powerful or as frightening as it usually is. And then the transition to Christmas morning is so quick and relatively calm. But all joking aside, I think they did the best they could, and I considered it a pleasant 30 minutes. It's got a strong Christian message of faith and healing centered around Tiny Tim. He's the first one to really touch Scrooge in an emotional way, and I found the most moving part to be when the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come shows Bob Cratchit at his son's grave. This version probably wouldn't cut it for most modern audiences, but in 1941, it was enough for families sitting around the record player. The essentials of the story are there, and it does include a few things that don't always make it into the adaptations, and with several traditional Christmas carols sprinkled throughout, it has more than enough of the Christmas spirit and the spirit of A Christmas Carol to satisfy. I hope you liked this little review. I was able to listen to this program through a YouTube link, which I will provide down below if you want to listen to it yourself, and I hope you're enjoying the Christmas season so far. Thanks for watching!